Hey guys, it's Bina, and in today's video, I want to go over the patch notes for Last Epoch Hotfix 1.3.1, which should be the one where it fixes the damage issues that we were having. So monsters were scaling way more, like their damage was wrong, and we were getting hit for way more than we should have. So let's see if this one is the one that fixes it, because this one has been called on Reddit to be by the end of this week, and we are here 1.3.1. This should be the one that makes me not die anymore in hardcore. Maybe. That being said, let's go over the patch notes. I haven't looked at these patch notes at all. So I'm going to be discovering it with you guys and giving you my insight on it. Tempest Moss, so passive and skills. Lots of bug fixes, right? So it looks like it's a lot of bug fixes, some stuff like, ooh, these are actually pretty extensive notes. Let's see. Tempest Moth, fix an issue preventing summoned storm sprites from exploding on death. That doesn't do much. Fury Leap, fix an issue where when pack leader was fix an issue preventing summoned storm sprite from exploding on death. Maybe that doesn't that make a way for us to have some minions to die, because there are a few effects that benefit from minions dying. I wonder if they were not counting on as dying, or if they, yeah, we'll see. Fury Leap, fix an issue where when pack leader was allocated would cause a summoned Sabertooth to instead leap to an enemy before teleporting back to the player. Okay. Dark Quiver, fix an issue where the Until Dawn node would not trigger when using a skill that is not generally a bow attack, but had the bow tag added on via another source. Elemental Nova, fix an issue where Crest of Unity would not apply its LE penetration unless the Infernal Prism node was allocated. Okay, that's kind of a big bug. Summon Skeletal Mage. Mage summon variations should no longer cease after changing zones online. Before this change, after zoning, mage types would be fixed and require a relog in certain skill tree configuration. After zoning, players should be able to summon every type of Skeletal Mage they have enabled. Kind of a nice fix if you're playing skeleton mages, especially if you have the relog, right? Rune Bolt, fix an issue where Rune Bolt would only provide raw for runification when the immutable order node was allocated and Rune Bolt had not been yet cast. So this is a small fix, quality of life fix. Entangling Roots, fix an issue where Entangling Roots would not display an unilluminated cold icon in the skills panel when the Winter Nid Thorns node was not allocated. Serpent Strike, fix an issue where Serpent Strike would not display an unilluminated cold icon in the skills panel when the Frostworm Fury node was not allocated. Okay, those small fixes. Summon Spriggan, fix an issue where Summon Spriggan would not display an unilluminated cold icon in the skills panel when one node was not allocated. Summon Raptor, fix an issue where allocating nodes in the Summon Raptor tree while having multiple Raptors from the Nalstut item would cause some Raptors to be despawned. Okay. Rune Master passive tree, fix a bug where Jagged Veil bonus was not being applied. We win the game. We got 20% more damage on Rune Master builds. Holy. It finally made it, guys. It took, I mean, this never worked. So basically, it took like more than a year, but here we are. Jagged Veil is fixed. So now now our 30 million DPS is going up, guys, by 20%. Dual wielding, fix an issue where the player would be considered as dual wielding if they had a valid weapon equipped in the offhand while the main hand was empty. Spellblade passive tree, fix an issue where the Volka's Razor node would not trigger for skills that cost exactly 10 mana. Okay. Bone Cursed, fix a visual issue with Bone Curse. Assemble Abomination, fix a visual issue with Abomination's Tail Slam attack. Devouring Orb, fix an issue where the node Void Adept would not double the effect at 90 vitality, instead requiring 91 or above. That's a bummer if you're stuck on 90 vitality. Volta Reversal, fix an issue with the fire conversion of Volta Reversal where a fire visual effect would linger after the skill was complete. Summon Skeleton. Fix an issue where skeletal archers had their arrow released at what was visually the start of them drawing the bowstring. Dive Bomb. Fix an issue that would sometimes cause the Falcon, after using Dive Bomb, to briefly appear at its previous position before teleporting to the location of the Dive Bomb. Frenzy Totem. Fix an issue where Maim would not cause your Sabertooth to double cast Flurry Swipes while Frenzy Totem was active. This is a pretty big deal. This is a pretty big deal for Sabertooth, I think. I would have to go recheck the node, but seems like a pretty big deal for Sabertooth, so nice buff. Dreadshade. Fix an issue where having the Egoism node allocated would not allow allocation of the Vile Gas node despite their connection in the tree. Forge Master passive tree. Fix an issue where an equipped shield would visibly fly around a sentinel, unallocating Forge Master's might. Okay. Summon Death Knights. Fix a visual issue where their capes would clip into their bodies. Avalanche. Fix an issue where avalanche boulders would visually display underneath blood decals. Flay. Fix an issue causing Flay to not display damage estimates when hovered. Lightning Blast. Fix an issue where Cloud answers chance to apply Spark Charge on hit. Did not apply to Lightning Blast subskills such as Spark Nova. Fix an issue where Mortal Capacitor was not affecting Lightning Blast tooltip DPS. We got 2 buffs? Lightning Blast got another buff. So Cloud Answer, I believe, is the one that give you a 30% chance to apply a Spark Charge. Now we will get even more Spark Charges on the Spark Nova, and they inherited more multiplier. That seems like a crazy buff for Lightning Blast, which is very nice, very welcome. Carrion of Creation. Fix an issue where Carrion of Creation's primordial blood splatters occurred at the wrong position. Tyrant Skull. Fix an issue where the Tyrant's minion icon did not display an HP bar. Hydra Arc. So these are items. Fix some visual issues that would lead to clipping and being positioned incorrectly in a rogue's hand. Carcinization of Momentum. Fix an issue where the Summon Crab icon was displayed as the Evade icon. Campaign. Fix an issue where the fade to black before scene transition ending before the loading screen would appear in some chapter 10 scenes. I'll go quickly over the campaign because I don't really care that much about a campaign. Unless it's a huge fix. These seem to be pretty small fixes here. Apophis because something fights the wrong direction. Immortal Summit. The door below the waypoint in the Immortal Summit not breaking when entering via portal. Fix decals. Fix the issue when transitioning while narrative event was taking place. Could result in a never resolved loading screen in offline mode. Okay, offline mode loading screen fixed. Fix various objects in chapter 10 being able to be walked through. The time travel visual effect. Some visual issues. NPC dialogues. Fix dragon eggs not having an outline. Some stairs in the Temple of Hero were impassable. Halls of Preservation bridge lower could be visually lowered for party members. Okay, so party stuff. Okay, visual stuff. Fix the minimap. Okay, nothing much. Monolith. Fix issues with invisible walls in the following mono echoes: Serene Isles, Nightbloom Forest, Sky Garden, and Tidal Sands. Sky Garden was very noticeable, so that's nice. Fix an issue where you could accidentally drop woven echoes from your inventory when placing them in the echo web. That's nice. Fix an issue where the open portal button would not appear on the echo complete if the map was in full screen overlay mode. The traveler is now less inclined to be distracted by an odd pile of rope when they should be inspecting Sacked Altar in an alternate version of the Wengari Stronghold. Reposition the floating icon for the Sacked Altar in the first quest echo of the Stolen Lands timeline. Also added an additional element to make the altar look more obviously interactable. Okay, I'll have to take a look into this, but I'm not sure what they mean by this. Dungeon. Fix an issue in the Temple Sanctum where it was difficult to walk around certain props. Who cares, because we only use the portals, right? Fix an issue where the Soul Ember amounts not reset correctly sometimes, resulting in a displayed value different from the actual effective total. Okay. Random encounters. Fixed a source of some rooms in cemeteries being difficult for the traveler to path through. Fix an issue where using a movement ability at the same time as initiating a mysterious rift could cause the transition to break. Fix an issue causing Primal Hunt Rift visuals to not be removed after use in some cases. Fix player navigation being interrupted in certain cases, close to stairs in tombs and caves. Fix an issue where ancient bones could drop in scenarios where they were not intended to in party play. Okay. I'm guessing there was some sort of like exploit issue here. Factions. Fix an issue where starting favor was incorrectly calculated when joining a faction for a second time. Fix the bizarre affixes showing quote unquote as their description when they didn't have one. Fix an issue where selecting items in the bizarre list would auto-select the first entry in the list of items instead of remembering the old selection. Hopefully there's some loot filter fixes, because like some of the loot filter stuff is broken. Enemies. Fix some visual issue for creatures with fur. Fix a visual issue with wave abilities cast by Maruna Sirens. Lagon. Fix an issue causing Lagon tidal wave attacks to not deal damage. Oh, really? Herod. Fix an issue causing Herod Ice Spike attack to not hit the player. Fix an issue where the Rift Beast emerge animation was jittery. Fix Crystal Lotus enemies not having hit flash. Fixed Bone Golems not having hit flash. Fix an issue with Orion and the Fire Dragon tail Sam attacks. Fix an issue where Bumble Bear enemies wouldn't turn smoothly. Fix an issue where killed enemies remain on the map stuck in their idle animation. Fix an issue where the Observer spinning attack would have a brief moment of idling after using the attack instead of going to its next attack. Fix an issue with Avoid Raya's teleport in online mode. Fix outline issues with various enemies from Chapter 10. Fix an issue where some abilities of the Idol of Ruin were invisible. Fix an issue where the Soul Beam from Formus Phylactery had an indicator which was not properly being pointed at a player. Fix an issue where Apophis Ends Crystal could be feared. Fix an issue where Rhyme Giants did not have frozen visual effects. Fix an issue where Tyrant Maw would wait before attacking in the ancient Oasis. All variants of the Temple Guardian have had their audio fixed. Fix an issue with Temple Guardian, Health Bar, and Outline. Okay, UI. Fix an issue with a cursor after inputting numbers with many digits in the loot filler menu. Oh, that's weird. The Eternal Cache UI will no longer overlap with the Inventory UI on irregular aspect ratios. Fix an issue where cursor size for controller was not consistent within the character creation UI. Fix an issue where navigating to affix selection wasn't possible during the directional pad on a controller. Fix an issue where mana spent Gainer's Ward would display as being capped in the character sheet. Fix an issue where tooltips could cover map icons. Fix an issue where quest echoes would not be cleared from the quest tracker if it was completed while the quest tracker was minimized. Fix an issue where the loot filter multi-picker would not visibly always round to valid numbers. The loot filter multi-picker would not visibly always round to valid numbers. What is the multi-picker for the loot filter? I'm going to have to test if the loot filter is fixed for the items that... So there's a new function in the loot filter which enables you to filter for uniques with specific rolls on them. For example, on fighting chance, you want to have only the 10% movement speed fighting chance. Then you could filter for only those. I wonder if that kind of fixes it, because there's a bug right now that makes it a... If you select some of these items, when you select that, it completely breaks your rule and it stops showing those items entirely. Fix an issue where the lock icon for a new skill specialization slot being available would appear over the top of the skill selection flyout. Okay. Fix a bug where going through a dungeon before acquiring a key would open the key inventory but not show the key tab. Fix an issue where ground item tooltips had an incorrect sell price currency icon. Fix an issue where rare item beams were not visible. Fix an issue where text could overlap in a bizarre UI. Fix an issue where the last text put into the search field in the bazaar would remain visible in it when the UI was closed and reopened. Fix an issue where the minion AI stance toggle indicator could fail to display the full keybind if it was set to something other than the default. Fix a visual issue on the health globe while corrupted form was active. Fix an issue where the confirm respec blessing panel would not close when the respec blessing panel was closed. Fix an issue where double clicking the quick switch faction buttons in the faction menu would cause the character to move. Fix an issue where party portraits in the top left of the screen would sometimes display a left directional pad indicator By the way, if I'm not stopping for any of these, it's because it has very little impact, but I still want to read them for you guys so that you can just click on this video and just have someone read the patch notes for you if you're in a hurry or something. Or if you're in the car or whatever. Fix an issue with minimus health bar in the end of time. Fix various incorrect display category for affixes when viewing the affix list on the bazaar or loot filter configuration. Fix some issues navigating the Beastmaster passive tree with a controller. Fix an issue where the player could not move using mouse after interacting with a stash using a controller. Fix an issue where you could appear accidentally to purchase the same cosmetic item a second time. Fix an issue where comparing items in Scarven Bloodhunter's shop or the Eternity Cache would show the tooltips of the items being compared in the wrong order. Fix the alignment of the stats in the character stats panel. Text. Fix a typo in the side quest dialogue in the Silent Coast. And other bug fixes. Fix a bug where having the chorus of the Anorak helmet equipped could sometimes result in being unable to load the character in offline mode. That would always happen. But yeah, okay, it's nice that it's fixed. Also, by the way, I will be writing a guide for the frogs, which is the chorus of the Anorak helmet. It is extremely OP, might even be S tier. Damage is through the roof, so look forward to that. Primal Supporter Pack evades now correctly. Link to the store when clicking View and Shop in Appearance interface. Fix an issue where the hotkey for opening the in-game cosmetic shop with K would not open it in offline mode. Fix an issue with offline mode cosmetic item equipped sometimes overriding the equipped cosmetics of your other characters. Fix an issue where evade cosmetics would not sync when changing gear, causing your character to appear at a different location that they actually were after using an evade. Content changes. What? We have content changes. Updated the end of Chapter 10 to grant you the waypoint to the first scene of the Chapter 10 after completion. This change was made to avoid potential cases where disconnecting before reaching the waypoint would require you to redo the Chapter 9 end fight again. Made some adjustments to make movement on the chains in the sky chains easier for WASD and controllers schemes. Right-clicking a timeline boss quest will now always spawn the Harbinger if able. Left-clicking can still be used to opt out of spawning the Harbinger. Scarven Bloodthorn's shop is now named after him. Okay, so that's no big deal here. Marrow Shard and Transplant. So class and skill changes. Marrow Shard and Transplant have had their description updated to clarify that they cost a percentage of your current health rather than consuming a percentage of your current health. They cost a percentage of your current health rather than consuming a percentage of your current health. This distinction is relevant because cost can be affected by modifier to cost, while consumptions cannot. This is only a description change. Assemble Abomination will now only absorb minion it specifies in its tree. Oh, does this? Assemble Abomination will now only absorb minion it specifies in its tree. Okay. I think this is I think this is a nerf, but we'll see. Summon Wolf. Permanent Bond has been slightly reworked. While Permanent Bond is allocated, the Summon Wolf ability will now always be replaced with Howl, while at least one Wolf and one other non-Wolf minion are summoned. Okay. That's gonna be fine for frogs. Item, affix, and enemy changes. Ice Bat. How long are these patch notes? Holy, these are long. Ice Bats now have more visible VFX on their Ice Cone attack. The attack is also now less accurate and has less base damage, but slowly scales over the duration of the attack to its current damage value. Okay, so Ice Bats are less dangerous if you kill them fast. Ice Weaver now fires slower projectiles and should close into melee range more frequently. Rod Steel Nemesis Prison projectile are now more spread out, and its spin attack is less accurate and slower. So they're nerfing everything, but are they fixing the scaling? Drowned Raven's projectile attacks now move more slowly and deals damage in a smaller area. Blood Serpent now actually target the player with their blood projectiles, which have been made considerably smaller to compensate. Headhunter Leviathan now actually throws traps at the player's location. These traps now explode after a delay rather than immediately. Drow Lava Carriers are now less accurate with their lava breath, which now has less base damage, but slowly scales over the duration of the attack to its current damage value. I like this change to like initially having a lower damage value and scaling up if you stay in it. Champion with a Profane mod now deal less damage with Necrotic Breath, which also fires fewer, slower projectile. I died to this patch. Ghost Frozen Wolf Champion now does considerably less damage with all of his abilities. He will also close into melee more consistently. Radamasaw the Cursed Tail Swipe now does considerably less damage, as do her melee attacks. The explosion she produces while teleporting is now slightly smaller and has a longer delay, but deals considerably more damage. Her Skybeam also deals less damage per interval. Fate Weaver Lachesis Shocking Fate attack now has a clearer indicator of where the next lightning wave will fire. Ord Lorca's Tail Sam no longer shotguns. Ord Lorca's Tail Sam, I don't remember this one. And the fire slashes that fire should be more visible. Harrespec Orden's Tail Sam no longer shotguns, and the fire slashes should be more visible. The Void Slashes used by all of the Agile Harbinger variants no longer shotgun. The Void Slashes, which one are those? I mean, they're kind of like just pushovers. The Void Beam used by all of the Brute Harbingers variants now has less base damage, but slowly scales over the duration of the attack to its current damage value. The Harbinger of Defilement Tail Slam no longer shotgun. The Tail Slam. Harbinger of Defilement. Isn't that the one? Isn't that the hammer? The 5 hammers? Like the red attack? The Harbingers of Ash Volcanic Orb now deals considerably less damage. Its decaying bombs now are slower and have smaller AoEs. Bone Sculptors are now occasionally summon a far larger zombie to do their bidding. Immortal Chimera's breath attack is now undodgeable. Immortal Chimeras. Woven Husks should taunt much less frequently, and actually attack more. Forge Soldier Explosive Orb now deal more damage, but takes longer to reach its target. Okay. Infernal Husk Flamethrower now scales its damage over its lifetime. The base damage has remained unchanged. Immortal Eyes now deal considerably more damage with all attacks and have more health. They also explode slightly earlier. What? So they're buffing some monsters here, the old ones. Soul Cage's Unleashed Souls now deal more damage and has a hitbox which more accurately matches the visuals. Desecrated Flesh now deals more damage with its non-spin ability. Its spin attack now has less base damage, but slowly scales over the duration of the attack to its current damage value. Siege Golem are now considerably more durable, and their indicator is now more consistently attached to the ground. Diamond Nagasa Skybeam now has less base damage, but slowly scales over the duration of the attack to its current damage value. Fate Weaver Lachesis, Atropos, and Clodo now all now have slightly more health and deal more damage. Bro, they're buffing these monsters? I feel like these were actually pretty good already. T-Rexes now gain significant damage reduction while roaring in order to give them a fighting chance. Fix the bug that caused enemies that were scaled to area level to incorrectly receive a significant damage boost. This effect was larger for enemies scaled to a lower or similar level to their base level. So this is a huge fix because this is what was killing a lot of people in hardcore. Softcore as well, but like mainly people were losing characters. I never died this much in this patch because of this specific bug. Thank goodness it's fixed. This is like the You Are Immortal fix, but they buffed a lot of other enemies, so let's see. I'm gonna have to play to test it. Adjusted Rift Beast and Rift Beast Cave enemy scaling to account for this bug fix, as they were originally balanced around the presence of the bug. The Rift Beast is now immune to damage while he's emerging to do battle. Unique item changes. What? Evolution's End. Minion hits can now trigger the summon of a Rift Beast. Huh. Okay, that's interesting. Chorus of Anurok. When determining the number of Anuroks that can be summoned, companions that are capable of exceeding the maximum companion limit, such as the additional wolf summoned by the permanent bond node, would no longer be considered. I think that doesn't really change anything because you would want to use a wolf anyways. Item faction update. Added unique icon for prophecy reward groups. This helps find specific reward types without displaying the tooltip. For example, you can see the difference between jewelry reward and ring rewards without viewing the tooltip. Okay, it's a very small step in the right direction. Rename the Lagonian small lens to minor. Thank you so much. Because I was wondering if it actually worked. Uniques are now in alphabetical order when picking them in the Bazaar filtering. Bazaar sort now defaults to gold, low to high. Endgame faction UI change. Updated Woven Enchanter UI to not mention Weaver idols until reforging them is unlocked at rank 5. Quality of life changes. Element stacks now display their true stack count when greater than 999 stacks. Thank goodness. They went from, I don't know why, they went from displaying them over 1000 to capping them to 999 as the visual. Remove the comma from the corruption display in Echo Web UI when the total was over 1000. The inventory panel now opens without automatically closing the crafting material panel. Made some minor visual polish to the Reef Beast Evolution UI. Typing channel name in chat will now switch the current channel to the one written. Okay, typing / channel name in chat. Updated the images in the runes and glyphs game guide entry. Quick filtering for an LP0 unique now sets the max LP to 0 instead of the minimum. This is because between LP1 items requiring a higher MG rank to purchase and Nemesis being able to egg LP0 item, the pricing for LP0 versus LP1 plus can often be quite different. Added a way to reroll prophecies on controller without using the virtual cursor. Added the warning that Glyph of Envy can result in a higher level requirement to its tooltip. Visual and sound updates, please. Adjusted Flay's basic on-hit visual to the bloody team instead of the default physical. Updated the visual effects for Fire Aura's conversion. Updated visuals for Upheaval, Fury Leap, and Werebear's Maul with an orange highlight and Shockwave. Disintegrate, reduce the visual flash when, with the Resurgence node allocated, the skill increases in a tier by being held long enough. Adjusted the visual effects for the necrotic version of Ripblood. Anorak Minion's audio is now quieter and differs from the enemy variant. T-Rex Minion audio is now quieter and different from the enemy variant. Reduce the volume of the T-Rex enemy's roar. Reduce the frequency and volume of T-Rex bite skill. Sorry. Adjusted the visual effects for this is a typo. Necropolis scavenger enemies. Added a dissolve animation to the fall of the Ledra NPC exit. Adjusted the textures of various Chapter 10 enemies. Scaled down ailment visuals applied to Ice and Fire Drakes. Adjusted the attack indication on a variety of different bosses. Adjusted the loading screen art for the garden. Improved the lower quality version of plant roots in various scenes. Added drop sounds to all primordial materials. Nice. The Petrify stun has an updated visual effect. Sorry, these patch notes are pretty long. Made some adjustments to the frozen enemies shattering visual effect. Made some small adjustment to the cold hit flash visual effect. The legendary dissolve visual effect in the Eternity Cache has been sped up. Improved the quality of loot filter sound option in the loot filter menu. Does that mean that we get like a slider for the loot filter sound? I hope so. Adjusted the visual effects at the end of the boss fight of the Observer Prison. Known issues. Totems. Totems can't target spires in mono online. So totems and ballista, they cannot target spires right now. Those are known issues. Fixing an issue where loot labels would appear over the top of the minimap. Fixing an issue where the bone. So these are all the issues, guys. Fixing an issue where the bone in a cave lobby would block the player's view when spawning, depending on scene rotation. The T-Rex enemy would not respond for a moment after spawn. Fixing an issue where the minimap would not be visible for cave scenes from the campaign if you joined a party member in one that was already open. What's up with my voice this morning? Fixing an issue where basic arena echoes could spawn multiple champion enemies in the final wave. In online mode, enemies now spawn directly at a correct position without jittering at the start. No, they are fixing this. Okay. Fixing an issue with Lagon spawning on the player. Increase the spawn rate of Primal Hunt Rifts. Make it more obvious when primordial materials, temporal keystone merchant, guild, black market tokens drop, so that folks are less likely to miss them. Fixing an issue where entering a wild scene via a teleport portal in town does not apply grace period, which can result in death while loading. I've experienced this. Fixing instances of invisible enemies. Fixing an issue where in mono, sometimes when starting an echo, you don't get teleported to it. Yeah, that happens to me. Fixing an issue where in offline dungeons, where spending a key to retry results in key being consumed and players teleporting to a town instantly. Fixing flay getting players stuck in various areas. Fixing impassable areas in caves and tombs. Improving client performance when interacting with large stashes. Pretty impressive patch notes. Huge buff for Lightning Blast. There's been a huge buff for Lightning Blast. It's gonna be very noticeable. They have fixed a lot of the issues that are in the game. For anyone playing totems or ballista, they still won't target the the spires. So that is something to be aware of if you are playing this. The faction, they improve some COF faction rerolling. So COF prophecy rerolling is going to be a little bit easier to easier on the visual. Enemies have been scaled down, so the bug that was causing enemies to deal more damage than intended has been fixed, but there's been a big rebalance of a lot of the monsters, especially the old ones from Last Epoch. Those have been mostly buffed, and some of the new ones have been nerfed. But even some of the new ones, like, for example, the one that dropped Clodo's Needle and all of these, like, from 1.2 patch, these haven't buffed. So be careful with enemies. And I think these are the big changes that they did with this patch. Like, Assemble Abomination now only absorbs minion it specifies in its tree. So that might be pretty big. I don't play Abomination, so for Abomination players, keep that in mind if you were doing some snapshotting things. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this patch notes reading and my insight on some of those changes. And I'll see you guys all in the next patch.